Daf Nun Amid Aleph, 10 lines from the top. Tana Rabba Barachana Kamidarav Chariya Shel Dek Shegodon Leitzim. If a person, he chopped wood, the branches of the deck of the palm tree that hardened, and now they're usable for firewood. So they're usable for firewood, and that's what they would be oimed for, so they're muksa. He was Godon Leitzim. He harvests them for the purpose of firewood, so they're muksa. Yeshiva. Now he changed his mind. He wants to use it as a bench. He wants to use it to sit on it. So he wants to take it out of its designation for firewood, which is muksa, and make it non-muksa. Tzarech lekasher. The Tanakama says you have to do a maisa. You have to tie it to show that it's not being used for firewood, to show that it's being yeshiva, that it's not muksa. No, ain't tzarech lekasher. You don't have to tie. You don't need a maisa. As long as you had designated, you have machshava, that you want to use it for yeshiva, for sitting on it, that's enough. So the Rishonim speak out, the Ritva in particular speaks out that over here, why is it particular to this case of Charias Shel Dekel? We discussed before the Gizeit Semer, and over here we're saying that Tanakama says you need a Meiser, or Shimon Gamliel says you don't need a Meiser. We'll see a third sheet shortly. He says different items, there are different considerations as to what is required to take it out of the Muksa category. Charias Shel Dekel, they're not inherently as suitable for yeshiva, for sitting, as perhaps Gizeit Semer is for Atmana. So their alternate use, or non-muksa use, is not so apparent. On the other hand, they're not so expensive or delicate either. So redesignating for yeshiva would not be so difficult because it doesn't involve such a loss. Whereas Gizeit Semer, which are used for spinning into threads and to make into wool, to make into garments, they're more delicate and more expensive, and the loss would be greater. So different items have different considerations. As far as Charias Shel Dekel, we have this machlekes. The Tanakama says you need a maisa, you have to tie it together. Shimon Gamliel says machshava is sufficient. And he said that that's the halacha like of Shimon Gamliel. Itma Rav Amar Kaisha, he holds like the Tanakama that you need a maisa, you have to tie it. Shmuel Amar Chayshev, and Shmuel says no, just thinking, intending to use it for yeshiva is enough. V'Ravasi Amar, he says Yeshiv Avapi Shaloi Kishiv Avapili Shaloi Chishiv. He says as long as someone sat on it Erev Shabbos, even if he didn't do a maisa, or even if he didn't intend to necessarily use it for Shabbos, to sit on it for Shabbos, the fact that he sat on it Erev Shabbos is sufficient. That shows that it's being used as a bench and something for yeshiva, and it's not muksam. Bishlama Rav Hudamar Tanakama. So Rav, he holds like the Tanakama of the brisa that we brought before. Shmuel Nami Hudamar Shimon Gamliel. So we understand who they follow. El Ravasi, Damar Kiman. Ravasi, whose opinion, which one of the Tanoim does he follow? More answers. Who Damar Ki Haitana. Tanya Yitzim Bepikuren Ubetzipa Bisman Shetzava Vikarch Mashiach. A person is allowed to go out with bandages made out of flax or wool, pieces of cloth of flax or wool, as long as he dipped it in oil and he tied it with a string. Now Rashi speaks out that this is not an Yisr of Refuah, it's not a Refuah per se, he's just protecting a wound, he's protecting a makim. He's protecting it against getting scratched. In order for it to be a protection, he has to dip it in oil and tie it so that it doesn't fall off. And then he can go out with it. Taisa says it doesn't mean only, the issue is not only whether he can go out with it, it's not only a question of going out with it, and perhaps it's a question going out, and it's a question of hoitzah, of carrying, or perhaps it'll fall and it'll come to pick up and carry it. It's also a question of muksa. It's a muksadik question as well, because they're not prepared, they're not designated for any particular private use, they would be considered muksa. So the way Taisus is learning it is that these items without a designation would be considered muksa. They're not used for personal use, they're either used for processing or for making into garments or they have no use, but they have not designated for personal use, unless he makes this designation by dipping it in oil or tying it in a bandage with a string, so it serves as a bandage to protect his makim. But if he didn't, he can't. However, even without a designation, even without a maisa, then as long as he used it before Shabbos, but as long as he used it, and as long as he's using one, even if there was no maisa, even if he didn't dip it in oil or tie it, that takes it out of the muksa category, and it's mutter. So you see, this Tana holds that usage, even without a specific intent, even without a machshav, even without a maisa, that's mutter, and that's Ravasi followed this opinion. Ravashi Avaname Tanina, he said, we see the following that says, Hakash shal gabe yamita the straw is considered muksa. It's used for building materials. So you cannot, if you have cash that's on the mita, you cannot spread it out. If you want to spread it out to make it easier to lie on, more comfortable, it's muksa. You cannot do it biyoda with your hand. Aval manena begufa. If you do it with your body, it's kalachar yad, then it would be mutter. That's tilta muksa. That kalachar yad, it's mutter. Aval im haya ma'achal behema oy shahayalav kar oy sadim ba'idayim. But if it's ma'achal behema, it's not muksa. Or even if it would be a davar muksa, but there would be a pillow or a blanket on it before Shabbos, you could move it with your hand. It's no longer muksa. So Shema Mina, you see that even without an intent, even without a specific machshava or a maisa, as long as it was used, you see it was used as for a bed for the purposes of lying down. As long as it was used mibayim, it takes it out of the muksa category and it's no longer muksa. Shema Mina. So we see this third opinion that usage before Shabbos alone makes it mutter. Uman Tana who is this Tana? Who is the Tana? The Tana Kama. Right now we're asking who is the Tana that argues on Rosh Gamliel and says you need a Maisa? Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva. It's Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva. Dechi also Rabbi Dimi Amr Azir Amr Rabbi Chanina Pam Achas Halach Rabbi Chanina ben Akiva. He went to a certain place, and he saw that there was this bundle of the branches, the hardened branches from the palm tree, that were harvested for the purpose of firewood, so they were muktzah. And he said to the Talmidim, go and have intent on it, have a specific intent, that we should be able to use it tomorrow so that we can use it tomorrow and use it for benches, to use it for the next day. And we don't know whether it was a base of mishta or base of. So the Rishonim differ. Some say lachar ma'isa means we don't know if that took place on a base of or base of mishta, or the way Tosfos is learning is, and we don't know, he was mater them with the machshava. They said machshava sufficient. We don't know if the reason was because it was a base of oval or because of a base of mishta. However, mirakamer I base of mishta havi base of oval hava davke base of oval base of mishta the treaty. It's a special heter under those circumstances because since they were preoccupied either with the base of oval or with the base of mishta, they were made a kula, they were matter. So it's davke in that case aval hacha, but otherwise. But otherwise, this Tana holds you have to do a maisa. If you tied it, it's mutter. Otherwise, it's not. It's davka under those circumstances that he was matered without a maisa. But this Tana holds, in a regular case, you need a maisa, you have to tie it. A person can bring a whole box full of dirt into his house and use it for his personal use. The offer normally would be muksa, but once he brings it into the dirt into his house, he can use it for personal use. In those days, they had earthen floors. If there was some dirt, some roik or tsoya, they would cover it. So he brings a box into his house and now it's no longer muksa, and he can cover the dirt with it. He can use it for his personal use. It's no longer muksa. He says it's not enough to bring it into the house. You have to put it into a designated corner. It's a specific corner that shows you're designating it for personal use, and that takes it out of the muksa category. Otherwise, it would remain muksa. This must be following the sheet of Shimon Gamliel, the Karabonan Hamar being a Maisa, because the Tanakama of Shimon Gamliel says you need a Maisa, and over here he didn't do a Maisa, he just brought it into the house, and he didn't do a specific Maisa with it. So l'chera, this follows the sheet of Shimon Gamliel. Amalahu Rav Papa, no, Afilu Tamer Rabbanan, you could say that it's even going towards the Rabbanan. Ad kan like Rabbanan to be a Maisa. Where do they say you mean a Maisa? Ela mida dabara vida be Maisa. That's only something that you could do a Maisa with it. For instance, like the Chariya Sholdekel, you could tie it. But the earth, there's no Maisa that you can do with it. There's no Maisa, it's loose earth. And Maisa is not applicable. So here a Maisa is not required. So you could say it goes even according to the Rabbanan. Said you can scrub the kalim with any type of material except silver kalim with clay gartik, and Rashi says that this is what forms inside of a barrel of wine, and it's strong, and it would be called, Rashi says it's alum, it's translated as alum, we call it perhaps tartar, and it will clean away and scrub away the silver. There you cannot do it. That cannot be used. But neser v'chol mut. But neser v'chol, that would be mut. You can't use the gartim because it scrapes away and the silver, and it's meichik, which is an amalach. But neser v'chol is mut. Neser v'chol would be mut. It does not scrape away. It's not meichik. It doesn't smoothen away, make smooth the surface of the silver. Also, the Brisa said that Nasir v'chol is also. So what's the machlokes? My love, ba'akam iflagim, demar savar be'inan ma'isa, umar savar lo be'inan ma'isa. So l'chayr, the Gemara is understanding this at this stage, at this point, that the issue with Nasir v'chol is not moichik, that everyone agrees that it's not moichik. The issue is it muksa? The Gatakin is moichik, so that's awesome. Now, the Gemara's understanding at this point that everyone agrees that Neser and Chol and sand is not moichik. Neither and Chol is not moichik. What is the issue? What's the machlokes? The machlokes is it muksa? So, must be Mar Sovar Be'inan Maisa, you need a Maisa, and therefore it remains Muksa, and the other one holds, no, that since it's it's Midi the Bar Lav Avidi Maisa, you don't need a Maisa, and it's not Muksa. So this seems to be the Machlekes over here. Mar says, like, the Kuli Amalai being a Maisa. No, you do not mean any Maisa over here. And therefore, that's not the issue. And therefore, everyone agreed that as far as muksa is concerned, it's not muksa. So what is the machlokes? V'loy kasha ha'Rabbi Yehuda the Omar davar shem miskavan also ha'Rav Shimon the Omar davar shem miskavan muter. The issue is a meichik issue. It's not a muksa issue. Maybe I'll tell you that everyone agrees that it's not muksa. The issue is a meichik issue. The question is that the sand, the night of sand, might remove, it also might scrub away and smoothen out the surface and scrape away the surface of the silver. Though it also is possible. The Brisa says that it's also is going according to Rav Yehuda, who holds that Davar Shein Miskaven is also. So even though he's not intending to be Moichek, nevertheless it's also. The Brisa says it's Mutter is according to Rav Shimon, who says Davar Shein Miskaven is Mutter. So over here, he's not intending to do it. It's not a psik reisha. He's just intending to clean it and not to be meichik. And that's why the Brisa says it's mutter. Really, I'll tell you, this has nothing to do with muksa. It's a meichik shaila. And the two Brisas, by Neser and Chol, one is going according to Rav Yehuda, and therefore it's also, the other is going to Rav Shimon, then it's mutter. How can you say that the brisa that says it's mutter is going to Rosh Shimon? How could that brisa be going according to Rosh Shimon? I aim a sefer. The sefer says that you cannot use the neser of a hole to scrub your hair, to use it as a shampoo. Rosh Shimon mishra kashori. Now the issue over there is you're scrubbing your hair with it, you'll remove the hair. And it's also to be geizes to remove your hair. But how can you say that this brisa is going according to Rosh Shimon? According to Rosh Shimon, he would hold that it's mutter. It's a dover shein miskaven is mutter, and then even though some of the hair might fall out, but it's not his intent, and it's not a psikration, it's mutter. So clearly this brisa is not going according to Rosh Shimon. The Rosh Shimon mishkeshori. We know the Rosh Shimon holds that it is mutter to scrub the hair in this manner, even where there is an isser of removing the hair. It's not a nazir. A nazir is not allowed to remove his hair. He's not allowed to cut his hair. Nevertheless, it says nazir chayfif umivasves avaloi soyreg. A nazir is allowed to scrub his hair with the chol. He's allowed to separate his hair, but he's not allowed to comb his hair. He's not allowed to comb his hair. But chayfif umivasves is mutter. Is mutter. So this brisa that says that in the brisa that says of lo yochav behem sara cannot be going according to Rosh Shimon, because Rosh Shimon says that even where it is also to remove the hair, for instance, like by a nazir, it's mutter to do it in this manner. So, and Shabbos would also be mutter to do it in this manner. You can't comb it. You can't comb it, so the Rashi learns that by combing it, it's a psik reisha. Taisa seems to be learning that by combing it shows that that's his intent. If he's combing it, that would be his intent. Nevertheless, you cannot comb it, but you could be chayfef umefasfes, so this brisa can't be going according to Rosh Shimon. So we cannot explain the two brises, whether it's choneser achol is muter or aser, on the basis of one is Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. So doesn't that show you that it's a machlokes if it's muksa or not, and it's a muksa dikashayla? Mar says no. Really, I'll tell you, it's not a muksa dikashayla. And that everybody would agree to this chilik that we were mentioning before, that everybody would be the chilik that anmidi, that's something that's la bar maisa, that you don't need a maisa. And everyone agreed to what Papa says, that anmidi la bar maisa, you don't need a maisa, and therefore the chol and the neser, the chol, would not be muksa. It's not muksa if it was, even if there's no maisa, as long as it was designated. What's the machlekes in the brises? Elaha Rabbi Yehudi, utrei tanor libid Rabbi Yehuda. Both brises are going to Rabbi Yehuda, and the brisa that says that the neser v'chol, to scrub the silver with the neser v'chol, is also, it's because he might be machek, and even though he's not machaven, it's Rabbi Yehuda, Darshan Miskaven is also. Both of Rabbi Yehuda, Vitrei Tanor Libid Rabbi Yehuda. Hi, Tanor Libid Rabbi Yehuda Savar Gar. Hi, Tanor Libid Rabbi Yehuda Savar Loi Gar. And it's a machlokes, simply is, will the neser chol, will it scrape the silver? They're both going according to Rabbi Yehuda. And a Darshan Miskaven is also. The shaila is, will the neser v'chol, will it or could it scrape the silver and be b'machik, to the degree of b'machik? One brisa holds that it could, and therefore it's also, and the other one says it doesn't. But they're both going according to Rabbi Yehuda, and it's a b'machik shaila, not a muksa shaila. Like the Gemara B'maya came to Rabbi Yehuda, you're telling me that the brises are going according to Rabbi Yehuda, Ema Seifa, Aval Pana Yarav Veraglav Mutter. It's mutter to wash his hands and face and his feet with this Neser V'chol. It's mutter to use it, and he's able to wash with it. Now, if we're going according to Rabbi Yehuda, that a Davar Shein Miskaven is also, how can he wash himself with this material? Hama Aver Sera, he might remove his hair, and it would be asur. So how can we say in any event that this is going according to Rabbi Yehuda? The Gemara answers, Yibayisema about cotton. Perhaps we're talking about a cotton which he does not have hair. Yibayisema be isha, or a woman. Yibayisema be soris, with a soris, so there's no hair, and that's why it's mutter. But we are going according to Rabbi Yehuda. It's mutter to wash only for these people which don't have hair. Otherwise, for an isha gadol, it would be awesome. But it's not a muksadik shaila.